Nah, I mean, my free throws today were not great. I think I missed a couple easy ones. Thought I could have grabbed a couple more rebounds. Still not enough to get the W. So no.
What was the most challenging part tonight, particularly in those little tipping point things, those 50-50 things when you needed them most?
Yeah, I mean, I think just overall, just better game awareness. Of where the game is at and what play to make. As we're chipping away, we got to understand, especially myself. We don't need home runs. Just keep getting base hits, keep getting singles. Just keep fighting, chipping away. Because in those big swing moments is when we need to be the most solid.
So said the team knows now more than ever the things you have to tighten up. It's those, the offensive rebounding, the second chance points. The turnovers aren't terrible. It's just when they're happening that has to be locked in. How quickly can that be turned around?
I think you turn around very quick. It's just a collective buy-in. I think as a group we understand, we don't want to keep losing in the fashion that we are. We want to be a great team, and we just got to go back to the drawing board, go back to watching film, understand what we need to do to clean this stuff up. I mean, we know what the problem is. It's just, accomplishing it is really the difficult part. We're just going to keep battling, keep sticking together, and try to get another win on Monday.
You guys, I think, did a decent job responding to that first half that Cat had in the second half defensively, but then Shamet gets loose. Yeah. Is that kind of what happens sometimes when you draw so much attention to one dude, another guy finds his spot?
Yeah, sometimes, that happens, but, we got to make sure that none of their X factors are able to have a game like that. Obviously Cat had the big first half. A lot of attention was drawn to him. But that doesn't mean those other guys can't play. And we got to take care of handle business. We weren't able to accomplish that tonight. And we look to be better Monday.
But what happens in those moments where it almost feels like a bit of a scramble?
Yeah, I mean, we try to put two bodies, or at least show two bodies on Carl because he's getting it going, and you kind of are in rotation, and Shamet kind of make the right plays every time. I mean, he had a good game, so kudos to him for sure.
When you're trying to get back in a game like this, now the clock becomes an issue, and if you have anything that goes wrong, it feels like a wrecking ball hitting you. But it just sounded like it wasn't the crazy points off turns or points off second chance points. It's when they happened down the stretch. Was that the most impactful aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, those plays are just like deflating plays. They got a lot of 50-50 balls that turn into threes. A lot of 50-50 balls we could have gotten transition, scored. I mean, obviously we was doing really good in transition and pushing the pace is the reason why they went zone. So if we get those 50-50 balls, like cut the defensive rebounds in half, then I think we win that game.
The rebounding aspect of it has probably hit the point where I assume there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that. Yeah. How critical it is it to tighten that up and pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes mostly I blame myself. I got to get those rebounds. Those kind of longer rebounds. I can't just always let Khalil just think Khalil gonna get every rebound. I got to get those rebounds per minute. But all our guards got to get those rebounds, those long rebounds, especially when they shoot a lot of threes and they get tipped out. We got to be there just to get those rebounds. Because sometimes when Khalil's doing a really good job on the big, he end up hitting the ball out or hitting it out of his hand and literally can be in our hands, but we're not there. So we just got to do a better job with that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, away from those moments, those swing moments where, you can push your lead up further or, you can feed into their run. I think the bigger moments are the second chance opportunities, the 50-50 balls. Those are hustle plays. That's where they live, them relief points. Coach came in here after the game. He's like, we got to cut that in half. We cut that in half just by the analytical part of the game. I think we're actually up 9 points. So we cut those second chance points off, those 50-50 balls that lead to threes and ones. We got to do a better job of limiting those. I think that's the bigger focus point, the rebounds and winning those 50-50 hustle plays.
You could anticipate that Towns was going to crank it up and do more, but when you get it from Shamet and Clarkson at the same time, what has to happen to try to simmer those things down that didn't happen tonight?
We got to be flying around. We got to make second and third efforts, with their main guy out, the head of the snake. We knew that Towns was going to come out, last year when he was out. He talked about wanting to go for 50. I believe he tried to do that again today. Did he get 50? But that was his mindset. And it came out and showed, I think, 30 in the first half. And then those guys feeding off of that, They found their shots. They made some tough, difficult shots, but a lot of those 3-pointers and points that they got were off relief points that we got to clean up and take away.
Fantastic shooting night for yourself, but when they fall in this space, how does it end up feeling?
I care about the wins. It doesn't matter how much I score, what happens if we come home with an L. I'm not a stats guy. I want W's. So it's more about what I got to do better. I made some mistakes defensively, and also I got to be one of the guys to help rebound. It can't just be on Lil, can't just be on Pell and Nico, the bigger guys, those guards that had to come back and help support the bigs, rebounding and fighting in there, especially with Mitchell Robinson, one of the best offensive rebounders in the game. So that's what I look at, how many second chance points they got off rebounds where it was my mistake that I can tighten up in the next game we play them on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, more so the second chance. And, it's costing us games now. That's where we are. And, we've said it enough that we have to fix it. We're being stubborn about it, the things that we need to do better. I feel like we're fully capable of doing it. Is it easy? Winning is not easy in this league. There were so many pop-up rebounds. There are a handful of rebounds. Mitchell Robinson is phenomenal at what he does. But there are several double-digit rebounds from 12 feet out that we could not secure. We were leaking out, or not just going and get it. We're right next to it. Probably a half a dozen bobbles, touch the ball, don't come up with it. Look, we said enough. Well, the staff are going to get to work. We'll find out what's what and what we have to correct. But we feel that it's fully in our ability to do it. And hopefully the pain, of losing, some of these games due to that will change our behavior. And I believe it will.
You could expect a big night from Towns, and he's going to try to provide a night of almost 40 Brunson. You knew that they were going to be electric in some way, but the Shaman and Clarkson performances were pretty much off the charts. I know both guys can put in the basket.
Yeah.
What really got to work?
The urgency to get to the three-point line, especially once they caught fire. Our urgency against Towns, I felt like it was better in the second half. In the first half, he was operating in space. We were surprised about his range. He's fully capable, of shooting those trail threes from 28 feet. But also he had 2 threes off of offensive rebounds, and the ball swung to him. But the urgency was better, with him. I think the game and our urgency defensively in the second half would have been good enough with better rebounding and taking care of the ball at key moments, these swing moments, that I talk about, where we got it to 4, where we'd have a turnover and that would lead to a 3 or something, a momentum play going the other way.
Seems silly to ask for more when you score 132, but is there anything more that you would have liked to have had offensively?
Yeah, we would have liked a few more rebounds that potentially could lead to fast breaks. They went to the zone. That's a sign of respect. They haven't really played much zone, if at all, this year. But that was to contain our drives, contain our game. As we caught a little bit more rhythm, I thought we handled that fine. And it wasn't the amount of turnovers, it was when they happened. At key swing moments that could change the tenor of the game.
Coach, I don't want to hold you up, but you were talking about the defense on Towns. Jaime, I thought, did an excellent job when he got switched on to him. He fronted, he knocked the ball away. Also, with that being said, I also thought his second jump on the rebounds would give you guys some extra possessions and just how hard he's working. Can you speak to him a little bit? Speak about him a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, he's been a force of will, a force of nature, and tonight happened to be, on drives, but also those second chance opportunity. I mean, it's shocking we had more second chance points, than they did tonight. but he's going to make his presence felt in the paint, and we just got to collectively do better. We understand what it is, so now we're going to get to work. I'm not talking about we just know what we have to correct. Is it easy? No.